Hey everyone, welcome back to Yellow Jacket Garage. Today, we're going to do the heater core in the 62 Corvette. Alright, so here we are under the hood of the 62. I pulled the one plate off the front side so we can see the heater core. Put this light here so we can kind of see it a little bit better, and I can use my hand. It's dusty and dirty, but I think the heater core itself is probably good. But we have one, so since we have to pull the box all the way out, we're going to go ahead and replace it anyway. I went ahead and ordered all the new lines, the new rubber hoses for underneath. The control valve looks fine. Of course, we'll inspect it when we get it out. But what we need to do now, since we pulled that plate off, we're going to pull these 4 bolts here. Those 4 bolts, once they come out, the whole heater box from the underside should be loose. But we'll find out as soon as we get to that point. So I just wanted to kind of pop in here, show you where I'm at, and kind of what direction we're headed with it. Okay, so now we're underneath the dash. I wanted to try to show, if I could, this hose right here. I did order all of these hoses new. Got all that stuff coming. But this one in the corner, I'll have to show you when we get it out of there. The whole back side of this is gone, so there's a big hole in it. I'm going to go ahead and pull this. This hose I already pulled out of the firewall. It goes into the bottom. Right, like it goes, anyway, it goes through there so that it goes back up to the water pump to supply. Next up, I'll probably go ahead and pull this hole. I don't know if I can see it or not. I can't see the back of the camera now. But anyway, where the heater, the blower motor and everything is, I'm going to pull all of this out. Then we'll go ahead and swap out the heater core. And when the new hoses get in here, we'll go ahead and put those in. Okay, real quick catch up to where we're at. I had to pull some parts, the kick panels, the underdash, all that had to come out to make it easier to get the heater box out. Now it is out, and so I'm going to take it over to the bench and see about pulling it apart, putting the new heater core in at least, and then we'll get this thing put back together. And part of it was easier than I expected. Part of it was a little bit more difficult than I expected. I had to take more stuff apart than what I anticipated. But really, all in all, as far as heater cores go, probably a little bit less difficult than expected. But it's not over yet. So, all right, I'm going to take it over to the bench, lay it out. Let's take a look at everything, see if we can figure out where the leaks were or where whatever the issue was that prevented the prior owner from actually having this thing all hooked up. Okay, so before I get too deep into this, I did obviously have it set up on the workbench over here. I wanted to talk about, I found this split. Let me see if I can get it up where you can see it, in that angled hose. I do have that hose on order. I think it'll be here like Friday, but I cut one side of it, and it's just, I mean, it's really super brittle, so that part's good. I can just break the hose off of there, so it's no surprise that that hose failed. But this is what I do. Just take a razor knife and just kind of score the side of it, and this stuff is like rock hard. And then you can take a careful you don't stick yourself in the hand with it, but this stuff is so bad you put a screwdriver in the middle of it and it just breaks apart. Now everything else appears to be okay. The valve and everything looks good. I'll probably do some brake parts cleaner, clean that up a little bit. Maybe even respray this whole housing just so that it looks a lot prettier than what it does. But I'm not going to take it down that part of it any further than that. Now the actual heater core here, there's a nut or 2 nuts on each side. There's the same 2 on the other side. Pull those out, and then the heater core will come out. But I'll show you that here in just a minute once I get those knocked loose and then get that part out of there. But before I took the hoses the rest of the way off, I wanted to bring you up to speed on where I was at. And so that part of it is really simple. Now the heater core has a one-way that it goes in. I'll show you that in a minute. And then this hose just has the elbow. The new one will go on there. And then this one has, where's that hose? It comes out of the side here. And then it has this elbow Both of these hoses go through the firewall. Actually, this one here will be through the firewall and connect this hose to it and go to the water pump to supply the hot water to the heater. So there you have it. All right, I've gone ahead and taken out the 4 screws, those 2, and then the 2 on the other side. So let's see how nice this looks. We're going to hit the vacuum cleaner. There's your thermostat coil in there. I'd be willing to bet you that this thing is probably just fine, because I don't see any evidence of fluid leaking anywhere. And so that's the answer to that. However, it is we're this deep into it. We have the new unit. We're going to go ahead and replace the new unit. I'm almost positive that the only problem was that corner hose right there, which actually would have been relatively easy to replace from underneath the dash. All right, went ahead and put the new unit in. Now the new heater core comes with these foamy insulators down here, so that's in there. Those insulators will go in there, try to help keep the heat where it's supposed to be. I'm going to go ahead and flip it over, put the screws in, the new screws too, by the way, because it does have new hardware that comes with it. So we'll put those new screws in, the new washers, and then from there, all we're waiting on is for the hoses to come in that I ordered, and then it'll be ready to go back together. Okay, so there we go. We've got it all back together. Now what we have left to put on is this plate that goes right on here. And once that cleans up and is done, then the whole thing is ready to go back in. I will put some sealant around there and whatnot so that it seals up like it should. Okay, so we're back. We're going to put this air box back together. I got the heater control valve. That's that thing right there. It's in the package there. So we'll put that out of there. I'm reusing the old clips because I like the way they go. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to put this back on right here. Really pretty simple. I have to move this around just a little bit. And I may have to take these screws back here loose to get this on here all the way. But I'm going to try to get it back on there without doing that. Probably not going to be able to, but that's okay. Now I did do a rattle can rebuild on the heater box, and so that's part of my taking the time, or as much time as it took to get this thing back together, or going back together, is because I had to wait for paint to dry. Now if you remember when we took this apart, this hose was split right here. That was probably the reason why the thing was leaking and was not quite put back together the way it should have been. There we go. Get these screws started back in. Alright, now let the fun begin getting these things back on here. There we go. That one is on there. We'll do the same thing with this one. Reposition just a little bit. Try to do this without destroying my new paint. That to be just lined up just a little bit better, just like that. All right. Yep. That's up against there, that's up against there. That's all nice and tight. The next step is to put one back on here, put one on here, and then put this thing back in the car. Okay, we're back to putting the air box back together, and so what you can see is the heater core is in, it's all new. We're going to put this metal piece, we went ahead and painted that, and we cleaned it up and repainted it so it looks nice. Put it back together somehow, some way. And then there's the last one that goes there. And I went down to the hardware store and I got some new of these zip nuts or quick nuts or whatever you want to call them, and so we'll put those on there so that it holds it all in place the way it's supposed to. So we'll put these on here, and you want to run them all the way down up against the metal plate just to keep it all nice and tight and back up where it is. I'll grab a pair of pliers or something here in a few minutes and shove it the rest of the way on there. And what this does is it just kind of holds the bolts in place and where they're supposed to be, so that you can go ahead and put this back into the firewall, or run it through the firewall. Alright, let's go ahead and put the gasket on here, make sure you can see what's going on. Notice on this metal piece here, it has an edge, and so the gasket goes basically right to where that edge is too. Oops, it helps if you put it in the right hole. So that goes there, that goes right there, and so it is back together. There is a part of the underdash where this will fold this piece back just like that when it goes in there. So we want to do the gasket right up to the edge, just like that. Okay, well, finally got some good things to report. We're checking some major items off the list. I have the heater core and the whole airbox and everything is reinstalled. The only thing left is to run the one hose there, but we're going to wait until we install the radiator and put all the final hoses in at that point. But good news, let me do this. Hey, the fan actually works now. It didn't work before, but it was unplugged, and so now it's plugged in and actually works. And some bonus footage up on this end too, so that we can see that it is all in. The only thing left, like I said, was the hoses that are going to run to the water pump. And then there's this big hose that goes from here all the way up to the front side where the air intake is. That just kind of snakes along underneath the alternator and plugs right on there. And so that brings fresh air into the cabin of the vehicle and hopefully avoids not fresh air getting into the vehicle. Okay, so there we have it. The heater box, all new heater core and all that stuff swapped out, did the rattle can rebuild on it, cleaned it up, painted it, looks nice. It'll be tucked back up underneath the dash anyway, so nobody will ever see it, but at least I know that it looks pretty when it's underneath there. All the seals are in. The only thing left is the hose that goes from the one end, well, actually both ends of the heater core out to the water pump. We'll do those when we put the radiator in, because all of those hoses are going to be new at the same time too. So that part of it is a bonus. Next up is probably the intake manifold and those type of things. And we're on our way to start buttoning up this project quite a bit here in a real short amount of time. So anyway, thanks for being here at Yellow Jacket Garage. I appreciate it. If you have not done so and you like the videos, please hit that subscribe button down below. Like and share with your friends. And as always, we'll see you on down the road.